Hey guys, so in this video, we'll be creating our mini project and we'll be deploying it to a Debian 11 Vagrant server. So the first thing we want to do is create an empty folder where we will deploy our application to. So create a folder on your computer as usual where you will set up a Debian 11 server. Once you've created a folder, you just run Vagrant init debian /bullseye 64. Then let's set up the network 35. All right, so I'm just going to be skipping over some stuff that is already known. So we're setting up the network DHCP, right, and then Vagrant up. So this should be done in no time. So our machine has fully installed itself, and then we'll SSH Vagrant SSH. So there are prerequisites that we need to run. Right now I'm inside my Debian server, so you see Linux Bullseye. So there's some things we need to do first. First thing, let's set a host name. So firstly let's add the Vagrant user to sudo as, so that we don't have to keep running some commands using sudo. No, that's not a problem. We'll add it to the sudo as anyway. Sudo vi sudo, so that we'll be able to access some directories easily. But this is just for this. On your, if you're using something like a cloud provider, you wouldn't have to do this, so don't butt your head over this. You don't have to do this. So save it and exit. Right. Alright, so the next thing we want to do is let's set the time zone of the server. Time date ctl set time zone Africa Lagos. I need to add sudo. Okay, so that solves it. Let's set the host name of the server. Host name ctl set host name. Set host name to be, I'm going to use server.debian, no, server.miniapp.local, because that's the name of my folder that I'm using. I'm naming my project, my own project, I'm naming it mini app, so I'm going to use the same name. Then I'll just add this to the host file. But first, let me check what is the IP address of this server. Okay, so sudo apt install ifconfig, sorry, nettools. I think I need to run an apt update first. This is essential. Yeah, that's the reason we're getting this error. But once I add it to the hosts file, then that error should be gone. Sudo apt upgrade. Right, so this will take a few very quickly. So all of this installation, we're doing this on Vagrant. With all of these steps, you'll be able to do something similar with a cloud provider like AWS or DigitalOcean or Linode. or GCP, anyone that you're comfortable with. Right, let's see, sudo apt install net tools. Right, so that works. So I can run ifconfig. That's a strange one. Anyway, let's run ifaddr. So here's our IP address anyway. So I'm going to add this to the hosts file. Sorry, this should be sudo nano etc hosts. So I just add it to the end here. Server.mini-app.local. This should be server. So that is done. Yeah. All right. So there are some things we need to install. We need to install Apache, MySQL, PHP. We'll also install Composer. Then we'll install Git. So let's start with Apache. So to install Apache, let's run sudo apt install Apache 2 with some additional utilities as well. Space Apache 2 dash utils. Yes. So this should be relatively quick. Okay, so that was quick. That was done. Let's install UFW firewall. So sudo apt install UFW, and this is done. Let's enable some applications. So sudo UFW app list. So on Debian, we're going to allow this. We're going to allow we're also going to allow OpenSSH. So sudo UFW allow OpenSSH, sudo UFW allow www. Remember the quotes. Yeah, I think these two are okay for now. So sudo UFW enable. Yes. Right, so it's active and enabled. Let's check our IP address in the browser. Right. Okay, so this is our default page. Apache is up and running and it's good to go. Right, back to our terminal. The next thing we want to do is to install MySQL. So to install MySQL, let's go here. We go to dev.mysql.com/download/repo/apt, which would give you this page. Then you click on download, and then just right click here and copy link. Then go back to your terminal, and then sudo, this should be reget, and you paste the link. So that will download, and then we'll say sudo apt install dot slash, copy this name, paste it, and run it. So we say yes, and that will do what it's supposed to do. So this is going to come up. So you go to this, press OK here, and then okay again. All right, so that is done. And then we say sudo apt update. So the next thing is to install MySQL Server. So sudo apt install MySQL Server. Yes. So that is running. So it's bringing up this prompt. So we'll say root. You can set any password, but I'd rather just use root. Then okay, then root, then okay, then okay again. Then use legacy, right? Then enter. So this will do its own thing. Right, so it's almost done. Okay, so if it's showing this error, just run the command again. Sudo apt install MySQL server. Just run it again. Right, so say yes. All right, so there's a problem. So let's run this. Let's check this. Okay, so it's operational. Let's see. If we try to restart this service. So sudo systemctl restart. And then let's check the status again. Okay, so apparently it's fine. No issues from what we see. All right, so yeah. Then Q to quit. So let's secure MySQL. Sudo MySQL _ secure _ installation. This. Then this is no. So validate password component. No. New password for the root user. I'll just use root again. Then root again. Remove anonymous users. Yes. Disallow root login. Yes. Remove test database. Yes. Reload privileges. Yes. So that's done. Let's create a database user which we'll use for our application. So to do that, we need to log into MySQL, right? So we'll do MySQL u root -p and enter the password. Okay, so this is here, and then let's create the database first. So we'll say create database, and then I will name my database. I'll just name it mini app. You can name yours whatever you want. Just remember what you name it because you still use it. Close this, then enter. Okay. Then create user quotes, then put in the username that you want, close the quotes, at, open another quote, I'll say localhost, then close the quote, and space identified by, then the password that you want to use. I'll use the same name as password. I just want to use the same thing everywhere. You can use whatever you want. Close this and then run it. Okay. That's fine. Now I want to grant that user privilege on all the tables. So grant all on mini app dot star to mini app at, we're just repeating the same thing that we had before, localhost then close this. So that's fine. So we say flush privileges, and then now we can exit this guy. So just take note of all of the credentials that you used here so that you don't get them lost. So the next thing we want to do is to install PHP 8.1, and to do that, run a couple commands. So I would so let's do this. So copy this, paste. So this might take some time depending on your network. Okay, next let's run this. Then we'll run this one. Managing query files. Okay, step can only be used by root. Okay, so we need to switch to the root user. So sudo su. Then let's run this command again. And should be a second. Yeah, taking a few. All right, that's done. So I can exit the root user now. All right, so back to this. Let's now so let's now run update. Okay, and then let's install the actual PHP. So this will take some time depending on your internet. It's asking if I want to continue. Yes. That should be done in a moment. 71%. So now it's beginning to unpack the archive and install PHP and its modules. So it's still installing the packages, but it should be done anytime. All right, that is done. So the next thing, we've installed PHP. The next thing we want to install is Git. Let's install Git. So we'll say sudo apt install Git. Yes. So this should be done soon. All right. The next thing we want to install is Composer. So let's install Composer. So you can just Google install Composer. So just go to this site, getcomposer.org. Let's go there, and then this is the guide. So just copy each of these links one after the other. So you see the reason why you need to install PHP first. So let's do that. Copy the next one. Copy the next one. So that is downloading, it's done. And then the final one. And then just scroll down the page a bit more and move this to the global directory so Composer is reachable from anywhere. Right, so we've done that. We've installed Git. We've also installed Composer. Now we need to set up our we need to clone the repository and set up our virtual hosts. So let's go. This is a project, so let's clone it. So copy the link, and then let's clone this. So we'd say git clone, paste the link, so it's cloning. And now we need to move this to the Apache www directory, right? So we say move, and this is the current name. Move this to var www, and then I'll give it a name. So I would use mini app as well. I just want to stick to this name, mini app. You can call yours whatever you want to call it. Just remember what you're using. So I want to move it to here. Because that directory might be owned by root, so I may have to add sudo. Right, so that has moved. Right now I can do, all right, then I also need to set the owner of that directory. I need to set the owner of this directory to Apache. So let me just show you what I mean. So cd var www mini app, www. Then let's run ls-l. Now you see this is currently owned by Vagrant, the Vagrant user and the Vagrant group, but it should be owned by the www-data user and group, which is an Apache user group. So we'll do chown dash capital R. Then this will be www-data colon www-data space /var. Since we're already in a directory, so we can just do mini app. We're already inside that directory, so we don't need to put the full path. We need to add sudo because we're currently here, right? So let's run ls-al again. All right, so now it is owned by this group. There's something we can also do as well. We can add this Vagrant user to this group. So to do that, you would do user mod -a -g www-data then Vagrant. So that should no, this should be capital G, right? Yeah, so user mod, you need to add a sudo. Let's add sudo. So sudo user mod -a, that's small a, then capital G, then this group, and then the user, right? Right, so I think yeah, all right, so I think that solves it. Let's see. ID Vagrant. All right, it's here and it belongs to the two groups. Okay, that's what we're looking for. Then there's one more thing we need to set, right? So cd, let's enter this our mini app project. So cd mini app, and then we need to set the permissions of there's a folder called storage inside it. So we'd say chmod -r 775 storage. Sorry, we need to add sudo. Okay, there's one more folder, so this will be boot. I'm not sure it's actually here. Yeah, is it here already? No, it's not here yet. All right, so we'll add it later, but that's all we need to do for now based on that. The next thing we need to add to create a virtual host file for this mini app project. So to do that, that's in Apache. So to do that, quickly, first let's name sudo a2 this site. So we want to disable the default Apache configuration. So disable it. This should be 0 dash default. That's 3 zeros, then default. Okay, so that's done. Then now let's create the config file. So sudo nano dash etc slash apache 2 slash sites available slash domain sorry, not domain, mini app. So whatever that project is, whatever this name is for you, you would use it, miniapp.conf. Okay, so this will open an empty file. So we're going to copy something inside. I think I would save this here. All right, so this is what we need. So I'll copy this, paste it here, and then we'll just change in a few details. So server name is mini app local. I want to use .local, don't use .com please, unless it's a registered domain name. Mini app.local, webmaster. Yeah, I'll just do mini app. I'm just changing everything. Mini app.local, the root directory, mini app.local, local. Yeah, that's it for now. Control O, then exit. Then let's enable it. So sudo a2n site mini app. Yep. Right. And then now we need to, let's test our configuration. So we say sudo apache 2ctl config test. So it will test what is inside this file to be sure that we don't have any syntax errors. Okay, syntax okay. Ooh, but there's something wrong. So there's something in our file that does not exist. So let's go back to edit it. And yeah, this is where we went wrong. So this document root should not be miniapp.local because what I created was mini app. So please take your note of that. Now let's test again. Config test. Right, so everything is well. So now let's reload Apache. So sudo system ctl reload Apache 2. Right, so everything is going well so far. It can be quite funny sometimes, can be quite tricky. Yeah. So what are we missing? What's left? We need to, okay, so according to the project README, we need to set up a few things. So let's set up the config file for this project. So back to our terminal. We're still inside the project, so you would say I have to use sudo sudo cp, that's to copy .env.example, then space .env. So we're just making a copy of this and saving it as this so that we can edit it. Then we can say sudo nano.env. So now let's modify some of these things. Let's try using our domain name. We could use our IP address anyway. We don't even know what it is, so I'll just go back. I'll cancel this. Let's remember what our IP address is. So it's okay, so this is our IP address. Let's copy this. So let's go back to the file, to the env file, to edit it. So now we will change this host, localhost. Oops, I'll put the IP address. Then the DB connection, it's MySQL. Then the host is localhost. The port is 3306. The database name is mini app. That's for me. Whatever you use to use it. Username for me is mini app. Password for me is mini app. Right, that's all we need to do. So I'll save and exit. Okay, and yeah, so that's for this one. And then the next thing we have to do is, as per the project, it says we should run composer create project. We don't have composer, so let's run composer install. But before we run this, what else are we missing? So we have configured our virtual hosts, we have PHP installed, we have composer installed. We also have, we'll set up the permissions of the folder. We have MySQL, the database, and all of that set up, so that's out of the way. All right, so let's run composer install. Okay, so this is a permissions issue. I was hoping we wouldn't run into this. So it's one of two things. So we can do one of two ways. Ideally, we should have done this composer install outside of the folder, because we shouldn't be running composer as sudo. So here's what we'll do. We're going to move this mini app project back to our home directory. So we'll do sudo move. Let's just step back one bit. So now we're back to www. So we'll say sudo move mini app. So I'm moving mini app to home Vagrant mini app. So what we're doing here is we want to move this out of this place so that we can do things without running composer as sudo, because it actually recommends that you shouldn't run composer commands as a root user. Composer should never be run as root user, because it can have repercussions that you can't resolve, or you might have trouble resolving. So let's do this. Right, so let's go to our home folder, cd and the tilde sign. Then let's cd into that mini app. All right, so now we can run composer install. vendor does not exist and could not be created. So we're still having this problem. Let's run composer update. Okay, so let's see what happens. The folder, remember the folder is still owned by, so let's step back a bit again. LSAL. Okay, so you see it's still owned by this user. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll temporarily change the owner. So chown r user and then mini app. Oops, sudo, we need to apply sudo. Right, so let's cd back into the folder again, and then let's run composer install. Good, now it's installing. Okay, so this might take some time depending on your internet. Okay, so hopefully this should run smoothly. There's one more thing I think you should also install, which is curl, because curl actually makes composer run faster a lot of the time when you're using it. So something that you should note, something that you should remember, whenever you want to deploy your app to the www directory, I would recommend that you run composer update or install outside of the www directory first. Like run everything you need to run, then before you move that folder into that directory, so that you don't have to start doing things as root user, because it's not recommended to run composer commands as root user. Okay, so this should be done in no time. Failed to download, curl error. Anyway, if it finishes, I would have to rerun it again just to make sure that everything was done correctly. Okay, so I have cancelled that. I want to install curl, so I would say sudo apt install curl. Right, so it's installing curl. Okay, that's done. So let's run composer install again. So hopefully the network is better this time around. All right, so that's moving faster than before, and yeah. So install curl. Just make sure that you install curl as one of the prerequisites before you start doing composer things. All right, so this is done. Composer install is done. Right, so let's run lsal. So our vendor file is there. Everything looks intact. Yep, everything looks intact. So now let's move. We need to move this back to that other directory. All right, so let's move this back to the directory. First, let's check. There's something that should have happened. It should have generated a key, so it didn't. So what we'll do now is to run composer create project. This is generating some files, and this is doing its thing. Okay, so the key has been set, right? Now let's move this. So I would say cd and just go back. Now let me move the folder, but first, before I move it, chown. So I'm trying to return the ownership. So chown www-data www-data mini app. Not permitted. Oh, there we go. Sudo. Okay, so that works. Then let's move it to the www directory, back to where it's supposed to be. So sudo move mini app to var www mini app. All right, so let's cd into var www ls al. All right, so let's cd into mini app. Let's see, lsal. All right, so everything is there. Is everything there? Okay, we still have our env file. Everything looks intact. Just to be double sure, let's just there's something again we need to set. So there's some permissions basically we should have set. I think we already set some of them before. I think we already set the permissions if I remember correctly, right? So generally folders in these for this www in this www directory should have a 755 permission. So you would run sudo chmod r755. Then since we're inside this, let's just put the full path mini app. Okay, then the one for the storage. Okay, the one for the storage should be 775, so that two different permissions. All right, what else do we need to do? Okay, so we have all of this. So let's check the requirements, the readme of that project. So we already did this. Yeah, we need to seed the database. So to do that, you would run php artisan migrate, and then let's seed the database. Okay, so what is the issue? So the stream of file could not be opened in append mode. That's a strange one. Permissions denied. Okay, so let's add with sudo. So it's still a problem. So we have a problem with our connection to the database. Okay, so what could be the issue? All right, so we can do quick Google search. So let's copy this. Let's just fly up to Google quickly. Okay. Right. Right, so I think this is most likely a permissions issue. this is a permissions issue or connection issue. So let's go to our env file, sudo nano.env. Let's change this to the IP address 192.168.56.117. Then let's try to seed again. Not the answer. So back to our config. Let's change this to 127.0.0.1. It's clearly not it. So our connection is being rejected. Something else is at play. Let's see the status of our MySQL. Sudo system ctl status MySQL. MySQL has been shut down. Wow, that's a strange one. And what's the issue with it? What actually caused the issue? So it said it's failed result queue, whatever this is. So something terminated the process. Let's do a quick Google search again. So it's low on memory. So it killed the process. That's interesting. All right, so let's see. Free H. We actually do not have enough memory. This is terrible. 81 megabytes remaining. Or no, we've used, so the total is 473. We've used 81. 75 is free. Okay, so let's do something really quickly. So what we'll do is to exit this. We're exiting our virtual machine. Let's shut it down. So Vagrant halt. Okay, so once it halts, yep. All right, so let's do Vagrant. Sorry, let's edit the Vagrant file. Nano Vagrant file. Wow. Vagrant file. Good. So just go down, and here we'll uncomment this, then uncomment this, then uncomment this. Right, and let's just do something quickly. So we'll add bb.cpus as well. We want to set the number of CPUs. Okay. Yeah. So we want to set the number of CPUs. Then we'll save this, and then we'll save Vagrant up. So apparently it looks like our machine was getting maxed out of RAM. It was running out of RAM. So we needed to do some small adjustments. You shouldn't have this issue with the cloud servers, whether it's DigitalOcean or whatever ocean our cloud provider. Although it also depends on how much memory or CPU that is in use. So this is up. Let's SSH. So let's see, free h. All right, so looks like we have more. I don't know, looks like we have more memory. Let's check the status of our MySQL again. MySQL, it's running. Okay. Let's go back to our projects directory in the app. Okay. And then let's run php artisan migrate seed. Aha. Let's add sudo to this. Okay, seeding completed successfully. So for this error, it means that it can't access this directory. It's trying to access this directory, but it cannot do it. So we need to set up the permissions. We need to set up the permissions. So ch own r www data www data sorry, not this, ch mod r775 storage, because we're inside the folder already. So storage, oops, sudo, right? So yeah, let me run a refresh. So what happened now, what I did was, when you do sudo php artisan migrate :refresh, what it does is it removes all it has seeded before and remigrates the information there. So this is fine now. It might still have problems writing to that log directory, but anyway, let's just see. So what's the next thing we need to do? So yes, let's check if our program is visible. So this is where we were. Aha. So okay, we're seeing this now. So there's something we need to do very quickly. It should actually be opening, it should actually reroute to this page. What we can do is to add something called a redirect in the htaccess file. I have a preset code. I'll just fetch it real quickly. So I'll log into CodeGrapper. CodeGrapper, by the way, is a tool that you can use to find answers to some things, some code that you need. So I have some that I've used in a while, which I saved. So I'll just copy this. This is what I need. This is what I'm looking for. It's specifically for Laravel projects. So I'll copy this, and then I'll create a file, sudo nano.htaccess. Is that the spelling? htaccess. Yes, it's double C, then E, then double S. So correct. All right, so paste this in. One thing we should remove these two lines. So remove these two lines. Okay, So this is fine. So save this. We also need to enable mod rewrite. Okay, it's an Apache module. So let's just I think it's sudo Apache a2n mod underscore rewrite. Mod rewrite does not exist. Okay, so it's not there. So let's install mod rewrite. Install mod rewrite. So there's a way to install mod rewrite. I got the syntax wrong, so it's actually sudo a2n mod rewrite, not mod rewrite. It's actually called rewrite. Okay, so that's enabled. So where's the code that we run? Okay, so I run it, and then let's enable this. Don't worry about this error, it's fixable. It's just complaining about the locale of the locale of Debian. We can fix it easily. Oops, I need to run this as sudo. Okay, if you want to fix this, we can fix this very easily. So let's set so we're setting the Debian, set Debian language local. Yeah, so this is what we need. Okay, so paste it and run. Command not found. That's an interesting one. Let's do a quick Google search. I guess that's the wrong command, which is strange. That's strange. Yeah. Okay, let's do sudo. That's the one. So add sudo to it. So I'm just going to make it English Nigeria. I'll just make it English Nigeria. So use spacebar to select. Okay. Then okay. Then I'll say ENNG. Right, so that's done. All right, so so that's okay. All right, so let's check our site again. Okay, but anyway, this actually shows that our this thing is working. It's supposed to redirect to this public folder. Let's Google htaccess redirect for Laravel apps. Or no, what we should do is default htaccess Laravel. Okay, so this is something. Yeah. Okay, so we can copy this. We can copy this and then just go back and edit that htaccess. Oops, we need to run sudo nano.htaccess. So let's just get rid of this first. So get rid of everything and paste what we copied. All right, so let me add it to this file. So htaccess content. Okay, so I'll paste it on this. So I'm just saving it there so I can share it. So save, and then let's just reload Apache. Although that's not compulsory actually. So let's go back to our site. Wow, that's a strange one. It should redirect. Okay. Hopefully I pasted this in the right directory. Let me see, for Laravel public. I think this is what we need. This is what we need. Okay, so apparently this just looks exactly like what we have already. If I'm not mistaken, it looks the same. That's a strange one. Okay, I'll get rid of this again. Let's get rid of this again. I hope I got the file name correctly. So I'll paste this. Save and exit. Let's check. I hope I got the file name. So it's C and S. Okay. This is the public folder. And looks like we already have this, so let's see. That's a strange one. Okay. Does this mean anything? Restart or reload? Should we reload Apache to hope it's not a cache or something. So let me use incognito. It's the same, but definitely we're on the right path because this is where it should be, right? What we can do is we can change the Apache configuration so that the document root is actually can change that Apache configuration so that document root will now be the public folder permanently. So let's change that. So we'll say sudo nano etc apache 2 sites available mini app, remember, .conf. Oops, that's a wrong spelling. .conf. Okay, so this is it. I think I know why this will not work. So there's something we'll replace very quickly. One sec. I think I know why this will not work. Let's change our virtual host. So I'll remove all of this since we now have module write enabled. So I'll remove this, paste this one instead. But So I'll also modify all of this. I think I sense that because I use the IP address, that's why it's doing that. So but let's just do this first. Mini app.local. This is mini app.local. The document root is this, and this is wrong, so this should be mini app. This also should be mini app. Okay. Yeah, is that all? Yeah, that's all. So let's save this, go back, and do we have I think we already had our hosts file set up correctly, so let's just view it again one more time. Hosts. All right, so let's add one more thing there. Sudo nano. So let's add one more. So we add 192.168. You can add it after, it doesn't matter as long as it's in the file. So this would be mini app.local. This is the actual domain name, like test domain name we're using. So I'll add it there. Right. So yeah, that works. So let's go test this again. Let's test with the domain name mini app.local. Oh, so yeah, so the reason why this will not work is I need to add it to the hosts of my computer as well. That's my actual computer, my actual operating system. So let me do that real quickly. So if you are using Windows, you need to add that domain name to the hosts file in your Windows directory. For Linux and Mac, it is sudo nano etc hosts. So enter my password. So I'm going to add the same. I think I had this before, so I've just changed this to 117. So I'm going to add the same domain to my hosts file. And then now that domain name should be reachable from outside. There we go. It's reachable. Nice. All right. So there. Yeah, it's reachable from outside now. So let's see why isn't our redirect htaccess redirect for Laravel. So that doesn't seem to be working. So using okay, so let's change something in our success again. Let's just try one more time. I think we already have the same commands. So if we compare, this is the same as this URI, not, oh, it's not the same. This is not the same. So let's try something. Let's get rid of all of this first. Save. Let's check again. So remove this public. it's not working yet. So so let me just paste it here. Okay, right, let's copy this. This is just a bit of trial and error on this. Okay, so let's see if this let's check again. Still not redirecting. That's a very strange one. Very, very strange indeed. But anyway, I think we've got like everything set up. Oops. Let's just go over our configuration file one more time. Look, we have a problem. So document roots is wrong. So this is this. This is here. Let's remove the public. That HTML shouldn't have been there, so that was wrong. My apologies. Let's save this. So let's reload system ctl restart Apache 2, and then let's check this again. Great, now it is working. So what was our mistake? What was my mistake? So first of all, in the configuration file, there was HTML, it was www/html/mini app, which was wrong. So that was wrong, right? Then this part was missing, so we added this. Then in our htaccess file, we made some changes and also added this. So this was the correct content for the htaccess. So I'll just replace this just to be sure. Right, okay. And then reloaded Apache 2. So that's it. So we have pretty much installed our mini project. There are some other things that you can check to know if it's working fine. So for example, you could check, you can execute php artisan. You can see while we are still inside the project folder. So php artisan routes lists. Did I get that correctly? I think we need to run sudo. Pardon me, route. Okay, so correct. Can we run that without sudo? Yeah, we can run it without sudo. So yeah, you don't have to add sudo. You can run it without sudo. So let's check this. Let's check this let's check this route. So copy it, then just go to your URL, say /this. Okay, so we should have this. But it looks like it's empty. Okay, that's a strange one. Let's run php artisan migrate seed. So it looks like it wants us to add sudo. Well, looks like everything was done correctly, but that thing should have had some articles in it. It's supposed to reflect some numbers here, which is strange. Well, the JSON file is not populating anything. So clearly something is wrong with our migration. It says nothing to migrate. Remove migration Laravel. Safely remove. No. Migrate fresh. Let's do fresh migration Laravel. Fresh database migrations. Aha, so this is what I'm looking for. PHP artisan migrate fresh. PHP artisan migrate fresh. Add the sudo to it. Okay, so it says it has migrated this successfully. So let's check this again. It's an interesting one. The articles count as 0. So, okay, so maybe there's nothing actually inside there. Let's check the route list again. Let's check this. Well, this is an error. So it's literally just having problems logging this, and this is having problems accessing this directory. This is because of the right permissions, which ought to have been fixed. Okay. Well, I think in the cloud provider you shouldn't have this issue when you're using the cloud provider. Okay. Yeah, is there anything we need to add? Let's go try something. Oops. Let's go to sudo nano.env. So DB connection is MySQL. The host is, say, local host. It's actually the same thing. App URL. Let's try this. Mini app dot local. Let's add one more key here. db underscore URL is equal to http that should be the IP address of the server, 192.168.56.117. Yeah, it should be this. Let's save this. Before I save, let's try to access this with the IP address instead. That's 168.56.117. Okay, so it's the same thing. It's the same problem. Okay, so it's the same problem. So let me save this. Exit. Fresh. So it's created, but I don't think it's inserted any data. So fresh seed. Okay. So clearly it's not seeding the data properly. That's a strange one. Let's run this again. Okay, so let's run it with sudo. Well, at this point, yeah, so it appears some things were not running properly. Okay. Right. PHP rt san migrate seed. Okay, so there we go. So it says it's complete. Aha, there we go. So the problem was that this here. So what did we change? The problem was this create project command. Some things were not created until we had to run sudo, so it created them. It's just a permissions issue. So we did that, and then we ran migrate fresh. So migrate fresh will drop all the tables and reseed it, and then we now try to visit the site. Obviously, if you run this, migrate fresh is going to drop the tables and also run the seed flag, so you don't need to rerun this. So after we did that, then we started seeing the articles. So I'm sure that if we, even when we do mini app.local, it should be fine. There we go, it's fine. Yeah, so this is what we're looking for. All right, so don't worry about this. That's how it will be. There's no front end for it. So mini app API. Okay, so it's redirecting to a public.api, and then but if you do API slash documentation, this will redirect here. So this is fine because according to them, they don't have it just yet. There's nothing there. It's going to be live there, right? So you can try this over again and learn from the mistakes that we've made, recreate it 1 or 2 more times to get it right, and then you should now be able to do the same thing on a cloud provider. I hope this video helps.